Thank you, Senator Murray, Senator Boxer, and Senator Klobuchar. Okay. Health Datitude, Sitsayaltsa Sitsta Dohlalep. Good morning, my name is Deborah Parker. I am an enrolled member of the Tulalip tribes of the state of Washington. I am currently serving as the Vice Chairwoman of the Tulalip tribes. I'm here today to support the Violence Against Women Act. I was here on an environmental protection issue on Monday and did not plan on providing my story while at the nation's capital. However, I could not allow another day of silence to continue. Yesterday, I shared with Senator Murray the reasons why the Violence Against Women Act is so important to our Native American women. I did not expect that I would be sharing my own personal story. I am a Native American statistic. I am a survivor of sexual and physical violence. My story starts in the 70s as a toddler. You may wonder how do I remember when this occurred? I was the size of a couch cushion, a red velvet, approximately 2.5 feet couch cushion. One of the many girls violated and attacked by a man who had no boundaries or regards for a little child's life, my life. The man responsible was never convicted. In the early 80s, at a young age, I was asked to babysit my auntie's children. During the late hours of the evening, she arrived, but was not alone. Instead of packing my things to go home, my sense was to quickly grab the children. The 4 or 5 men that followed my auntie home raped her. I had to protect the children and hide. I could not save my auntie. I only heard her cries. Today is the first time that I have ever shared this story. She died at a young age. The perpetrators were never prosecuted. During this time on a reservation, there was no real law enforcement. And because I know the life of a Native woman was short, I fought hard to attend college in the early 90s and study criminal justice so that I could be one to protect our women. However, I am only one, and we still have no real protection for women on our reservations. In the late 90s, I returned from college and began a program to help young female survivors. We have saved many lives during the creation of this program. However, one of my girls, Sophia, was murdered on my reservation by her partner. I still remember this day very strongly. And yet another one of our young girls took her life. A majority of our girls have struggled with sexual and domestic violence, not once, but repeatedly. My question for Congress was and has always been, why did you not protect me or my family? Why is my life and the life of so many other Native American women less important? It is now 2012. I am urging Congress to uphold the U.S. Constitution and honor U.S. treaty agreements, to provide protection, education, health, and safety of our Indigenous men and women of this country. Please support the Violence Against Women Act and send a strong message across the country that violence against Native American women is unlawful and is not acceptable in any of our lands. Our tribal courts will work with you to ensure that violators are accountable and victims are made whole and well. Tigwitsi, Haichka, Pisha, Miigwech, thank you for listening to my story. I am blessed to be alive today. I send my love and prayers to all of the other victims and survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Thank you. Tigwitsi, thank you so much for this honor of being here today. Once again, my Indian name is Tsitsayotsa. My name comes 7 generations back on my grandmother's side, and I'm from the original Stohobish village in what's now called the Tulalip tribes in the state of Washington. It's never easy to speak after that video. I'd like to, first of all, ask the members of the Tulalip tribes and our staff members who work in our healing our spirit to please stand. I just want to acknowledge our workers here who help protect our tribe. They're our frontline workers, so I want to acknowledge. And I've been on travel lately, so I haven't been able to see our ladies and be there to send my prayers and uplift each and every one of you who are on the front line. So I just wanted to state that first and foremost. I'd also like to acknowledge the boys for the honor song this morning, and also our veterans, and especially those who helped to honor us with the prayers and the smudge and the chair ceremony. In the Stohobish way, in our Tulalip culture, we also use blankets to honor our people. We cover our people in blankets, those we love and those we want to uphold and protect. So this ceremony really touches my heart, and I just thank you for bringing that forward, because that's the very heartbeat of who we are as Indian people, is a very spiritual people. And it's so important to honor that spirit in each and every day. And for each one of us, we carry that own unique way how we honor ourselves. So these chairs right here mean a lot to me. Most recently, we lost a little 17-month-old. And it's in the newspapers this morning, so I was able to read that in the Everett Herald. And the little child was 17 months old, and her mother was a survivor of domestic violence, and she had other issues of drug issues she was going through, and she had 2 children, and she left her children in a vehicle, and she went out to be with some others. And so I believe it was maybe a couple months ago, I was driving by on my way home, and I looked over, and there were plenty of police officers, and I was wondering what was happening. And it turned out both of the babies were in the vehicle for, they're saying, approximately 5 days. And so this morning, I just want to honor the little one, Chantel Craig. She didn't make it. Her sister did. She's 2.5 months old, and I was able to follow the ambulance to the Seattle Children's Hospital. And so she's a strong little girl, and hopefully this weekend I'll get to see her and just love her up, because again, that's how we are as Indian people. we give our love to those who need it the most. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't love ourselves enough. And so today, as I closed my eyes and I held up the candle, I asked for our ancestors to be here to bless each and every one of you up today. And the words I heard in my prayer were to remind each and every one of you to love yourself, because your ancestors are all around you, and they're trying to send a message of love, that they love you. But you need to be willing to accept that love. And each and every one of you has your own protectors, your own spiritual people who guide you. But I want you to know that they're all around us here today. That anytime you have love and you're open to that, you're going to feel that love in return from the other side. And although I was talking with Sarah last night and saying, oh, right now I feel alone, I've been traveling a lot and just came from DC last night. Sometimes it feels like you're alone. When you go to your hotel room, sometimes you're alone. When you walk the halls of Congress, for those who have been fighting for the Violence Against Women Act, those male and female, sometimes it feels like you're alone. In this video that you've seen today, I was the only member of my tribe that was there that day in DC. And so when I walked into Senator Murray's office to make sure the Violence Against Women Act was going to pass, and they reassured us, yes, it's going to pass, but without the tribal provisions. And I said, wait a minute. What do you mean without the tribal provisions? Well, yeah, the GBLT they were okay with. They were okay with the immigration provision, but not the tribal provisions. And I said, are you serious? We have been fighting and we've been working the Hill, and you're gonna pass, and I kept thinking, immigration before our own people? And I couldn't, and I know the staff, they're just the messengers, but I got a little angry at the staff. And they said, no, Deb, we've been really fighting, but we're sorry. And all I could think of is, I'll write another letter, we'll get more people active, and hold on, we need to still be in this fight. And he said, I apologize, it just didn't gain enough support. And he said, what was missing was the tribal face. And so, you know, I thanked him for his time. I walked down the halls, went to my next meeting, and I couldn't focus, I couldn't concentrate. I was just very angry. And so I called Sean Bills, who's Senator Murray's staff member, and I said, get Senator Murray on the phone immediately. I need to talk with her. And he said, okay. She was on the Senate floor, and she agreed to come off the Senate floor immediately to speak with me. And that's where we went into a private room, and I asked Senator Murray to please do not exclude tribal women in this bill. And she said, I'll give it one more effort. If you can come tomorrow morning, we'll call a Senate press conference immediately. And so I asked her, well, everything was running through my mind, which story? And she says, it doesn't matter, Vice Chair Parker, you just put your best words forward and we'll move from there. So in the video, that was pretty much my first time coming out with what had happened to me as a child. And there's so many stories that ran through my mind, which story should I tell? Because as many of us in this room, we know secrets. We know things that happen in our communities. We know things that, of course, have happened to us. And those secrets are what's killing us. Because the more I learn about domestic violence, the more I learn about the ills of our societies, of our communities, of our nations, the more I realize it's those secrets. It's if we're not true to our spirit, it's killing us. And I think, well, when I was younger, if I would have come forward, maybe my other cousins and several family members wouldn't have been hurt. Maybe some of my family members would be alive. Maybe some of my cousins wouldn't be doing or using drugs and alcohol to heal their pain. So each day I struggle with the work that I do as one individual. But I know that I'm not going to go to a place of shame and guilt. I need to come from a place of strength and love. And I know each and every day I have to forgive myself and forgive those who have hurt me, because there is work to do. We have a community to heal. We have a nation to heal. It's not only those who live on our reservations, but it's our urban population as well. It is others who are walking around with shame and guilt for the treatment of our Native American people, our indigenous people of this land. I've seen that shame and guilt. Day before yesterday, when I was in one of the offices, a Republican office, I met with some of the staff members, and I urged them to please consider the tribal provisions in the Violence Against Women Act. And the staff members simply said, it's unconstitutional. Sorry. Thank you for meeting with us. Have a nice day. And so, you know, and I really think there were tribal leaders with me in that room, and we all tried to explain to the House Republican side, many of the staff members and some of our House Republican members and even our Democrats, that protection of Indian women is utmost important, that we need that jurisdiction to prosecute non-Indians on our reservations. We cannot allow these perpetrators to keep walking on and off of our reservation, committing crimes and then leaving because of cross-jurisdictional issues that we cannot control. And if Congress doesn't act, in which right now we're trying to push this forward in the lame duck session, which is only really days away for us. If Congress doesn't act, it sends a strong message across our country that violence against Indian women, and I'll say this, is okay. Because why? They put up their hands. It's not our jurisdiction. It's not our place. And what we're asking, tribal leaders across the country are asking, that the United States government work with us, that we will work in our courts and we will work with our attorneys to make sure that people have justice on our reservations, whether you're tribal or not. And that is a message that President Obama shared with tribal leaders yesterday. He fully supports the Violence Against Women Act with the tribal provisions that protect our women through jurisdiction. And he also believes that thank you. I was just sharing at the holiday, we had a holiday dinner at the White House the other night, and I was so angry with the meetings I had early on that day from the House side that I couldn't even enjoy all the big buffet food, and and it was a beautiful experience, but my mind and my heart is really set on making sure that we are in the Violence Against Women Act, that we are represented, that we are cared for, and that women know across the country that we will not go unnoticed and that the women who have contacted me, and I'm going to say, and some of the men, that their stories will not go unheard. I have a few comments that I wanted to bring about from women from across the country who shared messages with me. And there are about 7 short messages, and I just took them from long stories, but I wanted to share with you because this is from women who came from South Dakota to Alaska Native villages, from Oklahoma to an Apache in Texas. So we have women all over the country who, you know, we talk about the large numbers of violence against our Indian women. And so here's some of the comments I just wanted to share with you today. I still cry and ask why I've seen my mother with broken bones, body, and face bruises growing up. My sister died abused, beaten, and forced to drink rubbing alcohol by her partner. He was never charged nor investigated. My daughter was beat so badly she began to pray and prepare to die. We must change what we can for our daughters and sons. From an elder, it's been nearly 25 years since I escaped an abusive relationship, but still I carry the physical and mental scars of the horrors I experienced. I still have not shared the details with my mother or sisters. The shame is too great. I was the one that my family expected to do good things. From a woman in Alaska, we need more awareness about violence against women, that it wasn't our fault. Back then, I never heard of any of these messages. He taught me that it was all my fault. If I just behaved better, if I just did this or that, he wouldn't have to keep teaching me. And yet from another female, the worst experience was rape, followed by being beaten with a crowbar, kicked between the legs repeatedly, choked till I blacked out, and then having to clean up my mess by washing my clothes. And I share these words with you because I'd like to ask you to send a prayer to these women, and also to the other women who can identify with these stories. And again, I need to say that there are men out there who have suffered violence as well. So to our young men, to our men, women, these stories are all so real and are so painful. And I know it's conferences like these where we can come and receive that healing. I didn't expect to sit in the front here and bawl this morning. But I knew that, as Sarah said, maybe you can get some healing from this, and I'm definitely open to that healing. And I know I sort of went off my speech here, but I just wanted to also mention that those who are working to fight for the Violence Against Women Act, those debating may think it's just a piece of legislation, but it also serves as a validation that violence against all women is wrong, that preserving the sanctity of women is an honorable code of conduct, and that a woman's life is valued. So as of this morning, where are we today, I was asked. So I wanted to share this with you, and this afternoon I've been asked to call DC again and let them know where tribal leaders stand, where our community is. So is Juana Mejel in the room? Is Juana here? Let me see. Okay, I know she was on the conference call this morning in DC, and also Terry Henry was on the call as well. So we're in contact with the National Congress of American Indians. So we are working hard to make sure that the words include tribal provisions, that we will not allow Congress to act, and we will ask the president, if the VAWA does pass without Native provisions, we ask him to please veto the bill. So I just wanted to highlight some of our discussion this morning through the National Congress of American Indians, and ask you if you have any comments on this next piece that we're going to introduce, possibly today, if not within the next few days, if not hours. Again, it's to speak on this legislation, it is a moving target right now. So recently, Majority Republican Leader Cantor's staff emphasized that the objection they have with the VAWA is in regards to the constitutionality. Constitutional rights in criminal trials can be waived by the defendant. The idea is an absolute right for the defendant to remove to federal court and a choice to affirmatively waive removal and remain in tribal court. Given a choice between federal prison and a tribal sentence, tribal court looks pretty good. The majority are lower level offenders who would get a short sentence and/or rehab from a tribal court. Serious offenders belong in federal court anyway, and tribes generally don't want the expenses of long-term incarceration of non-Indians. So while serious offenders may opt for federal removal, that is likely a good thing. They will be referred for federal prosecution anyway. It is essentially a middle ground between option 1 and option 2. Let's see. And this addresses Congressman Issa's removal idea, and this is, there's a concern that the federal government might decline to prosecute a removed case, but these would be serious offenses, and they would be placed squarely in front of the U.S. Attorney in a way that is that forced action. So that's where we are for those who are legally following this and politically following this. I have a few minutes here, so my message for you with the political action is to please call your state congressman, your state senator, and urge them to please make sure that they speak with the House GOP, the House Speaker, and urge him to please include tribal provisions. I know we haven't been having great response from Congressman or Leader Cantor's staff, but we want the leaders of this country, those who we vote in our state elections, to please speak with Leader Cantor themselves, not the staff, because we need a strong message that we will not leave Indian women behind. You safe travels, and I look forward to fighting with each and every one of you to help keep our women, our men, our babies, our elders, our communities safe. Utigwit Sicha.